Hello, I am the Brand Booktuber and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about a Palestine reading challenge that was an idea that stemmed from Sims Books and Nicole Moon, who both came together and were like, they wanted to find a way to express and show Palestinian culture, because Palestinian culture is often co-opted or hidden away from the mainstream, and they wanted to come together and through books and other mediums they wanted to come together and display Palestinian culture and also showing solidarity and talking about Palestine. And Sim reached out to me and they were like, hey, what do you think about getting involved? I missed the comment initially, but then I saw it and then I went to Sim's channel and their video about the challenge was great and very informative, and I was like, I definitely want to get involved. So this is me talking about how I'm going to get involved in the challenge. Basically, this challenge is there's a few different types of books you can read. The books can overlap, so a book can fit into two aspects of the challenge, and I do that quite a bit in my one because I'm a slow reader. And the challenge is up until July 18th, where I know Sim and Nicole and maybe a few other creators will be on a live stream / a hangout together to talk about the books. Super cool. If I'm free, I will definitely be trying to join that. I just have some schedule conflicts I might need to get through. But let's get into the challenge and explain the challenge. So, there are a few different criteria / aspects of the challenge, and like I said, they can overlap. So the first one is to read a book by a Palestinian author who currently lives in or used to live in Palestine. So it can be someone who was born there and lived there for a while, someone who moved there and lived there for a while, or someone who was born there and still lives in Palestine. Next is a book by a author from the Palestinian diaspora. That's very interesting because I never thought of reading a book by a Palestinian who didn't live in Palestine but is still Palestinian, and I found a few cool options, but I'm really excited to tell you about the one I chose. Afterwards is a memoir of a Palestinian author. I did memoir / autobiography because sometimes it's hard to find a distinction, but we can go into that when I talk about my choice. Then a book by a living Palestinian author. Again, that one might be one that can overlap with your other choices. Then we go on to a non-fiction book about Palestine. So there's quite a few choices there. I think my choice is kind of not basic, but is good reading for everyone to read, and I'm surprised I've not read this already, to be honest. Up next is poetry by a Palestinian poet. Obviously, poetry is huge in the Middle East and South Asia. So it would be really cool to read some poetry. Obviously, I can't read Arabic, so it will be the translation. It won't be 100% pure, but still, it'd be great to read some poetry by a Palestinian author. And finally, is to read a book from a non-traditional medium. So that would be something that's not for me. So whether it's a graphic novel, a children's book, a play, my choice is a graphic novel, which I'll get into in the end. Now let's go through the books I'm reading. Obviously for me, I did choose a lot of books that overlap for some of these criteria, again, because I'm not the fastest reader and I want to read all of these by July 18th. So my book that will cover for book by a Palestinian author who lived and lives there, and the book that is a memoir of a Palestinian author, and a book by a living Palestinian author, I'm sorry, it covers 3, is going to be Where the Line is Drawn by Raja Shahada, which is here, very precariously placed, which I should have taken out earlier. It is a autobiography / memoir about his life and his relationship with living in the occupied territories of Palestine. So I really want to read that. I know his book, his book Walks in Palestine won the Orwell Prize, so that was my other option, but I decided to go with this because I think I'd started it in the past and I want to finish it. So I'm going to read that for that one that fits 3 criteria. Up next is my choice for a book by a diaspora author. I was going to lean towards maybe one book that was more well known. However, I saw this book and I'm like, I want to read this. It's called Jokes for the Gunman by Maziv Marauf. I'm sorry if I butchered that. It was long-listed for the International Booker Prize in 2019. So I'm like, this is interesting. It's a collection of short stories. So technically it could cover the non-traditional medium, but I have another one for that. My book that is a non-fiction book about Palestine is Noam Chomsky's On Palestine. I am very surprised I haven't read that, and if I have, that might have been like a good 5+ years ago, so it would be good for me to read it again if I have. I might have used it for reference in a paper I wrote, but I don't think I read it from start to finish. But that's going to be my non-fiction choice. Also, Noam Chomsky is always good, and I think Noam Chomsky's books are a good way for people who first want to get into learning about the geopolitics, if you will, and human rights. Then, the book that is poetry from a Palestinian poet. It is going to be Mahmoud Darwish's In the Presence of Absence. Yes, In the Presence of Mahmoud Darwish is kind of a basic choice because they're so famous and so well known. But also, my relationship with poetry is a bit so I thought I'd go with someone a little bit more mainstream there. So maybe there's a little bit more help when I look into maybe understanding the meaning of some of these poems if I don't get it. Finally, our book from a non-traditional medium is going to be a graphic novel, because I love graphic novels /comic/manga. It is going to be Palestine by Joe Sacco. It is about Joe Sacco's time when he went to go visit Palestine and how the Palestinians were treated, his views as an outsider on the relationship between Palestinians and the Israeli police and government. It did very well. It was critically acclaimed, so I'm looking forward to reading this. It's actually going to be arriving at my house at some point today. I was hoping it would arrive before I filmed this, but alas, it did not. So that is the reading challenge. There are other parts of this challenge where I really recommend you go over to Sim's video to check out the other aspects of the challenge and what they are going to be doing with those aspects. Just to touch on them lightly is to listen to Palestinian music, to watch a Palestinian film. There's a lot of good Palestinian films actually on places like Amazon Prime and Netflix, and some of them aren't very long, maybe about an hour if you don't really know about watching international cinema or documentaries and stuff. So I really recommend going to those. Yeah, I know they're big companies, but big companies are the ones that are going to have these kind of things. There's also to try making or eating some Palestinian food, which would be really cool. I don't think there's anywhere where I could buy Palestinian food near where I live, and also I don't trust my cooking skills to be able to do that, so unfortunately I won't be participating in the cooking part, but I look forward to knowing what you guys might cook of a Palestinian dish. That would be really cool. And finally, this is one where it's going to be a bit heavy and a bit harder, but I thought it was a very interesting idea from when I heard Sim talk about it, was talking to family members of yours who have a opposing view on Palestine to you, or maybe even family members, I would say, who express that they don't care or they don't understand, and having a conversation and talking to them about it. That might be something that's really difficult for you. I've definitely had that conversation with friends as opposed to family. I've also had a conversation with my family who maybe didn't fully understand what was happening. So that might be a more difficult challenge to do, but I think it's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to have these conversations with people. They might get very heated at points, understandably so, because some people will disagree with you, and I'm not going to delve into that here as to why, but people may disagree, but it would be interesting. But if you're just looking for the reading part, concentrate on the reading aspects. I'm going to be talking about all these books. Like I said, Sim and Nicole are going to have a live stream / hangout on the 18th of July. I maybe will be there depending on my schedule. I really hope I can make it, but if not, I will still be talking about all of these books on the 18th of July, and it will probably be in a wrap-up, and if there's one that really stood out to me, I will make a complete video on any of these books. So thank you for watching. Hey, let me know if you're going to participate in this reading challenge, and make sure you are donating to organizations, learning about organizations, learning about what's happening. Be sure to educate yourself. There's a TikTok creator who I really like, and one of his mottos is education is elevation, and I really agree with that. So please do continue to educate yourselves on these things. Let me know what you're going to read if you're going to participate, or just if you're interested in anything that's going on. If you want some resources or something, I can hopefully point you in the right direction. But thank you for watching. I hope you read a fantastic book today.